Remarks made by Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris at a 29 June press conference has prompted a response from Spencer Brand of the Nevis Island administration, who described the Prime Minister's remarks as misleading. At the time, the Prime Minister was commenting on the Citizenship by Investment program and the construction of a correctional facility on St. Kitts under the CBI's alternative investment option. The Prime Minister was making the point that Premier Mark Brantley is aware of how the alternative option works, since he has a member in the CBI program who is also in the NIA's cabinet.
A member of the Mark Brantley's cabinet, Spencer Brand, is also a developer in the CBI program. And Spencer Brand project came to the cabinet, supported by the NIA, for us to give them shares. Is it that the government then is funding Spencer Brand project? I think it's about, $44 million US. Is it that the federal government will take up 109, nearly 120 million EC to fund Spencer Brand project? Or Spencer Brand will go around the world, find people, find interested people. So they understand how it works. They understand there is no cost to the government and the country, because right in their cabinet is a member participating in the program.
However, Mr. Brand has taken offense of the remarks, indicating that the Prime Minister has given the impression that his involvement in a CBI project commenced under the Mark Brantley's administration and since he became an elected member of the NIA. Mr. Brand responded with an audio recording placed on social media and on YouTube.
The Prime Minister has given the impression and sought to mislead the nation that this is a project that was only being submitted and approved since I became a sitting minister of the NIA, and since Mark Anthony Graham Brantley became the Premier of Nevis. This is the furthest thing from the truth. This was a development that had the approval of the NIA since the 12th of November 2014, and the federal government in principle since the 27th of November 2015. Approval for this project was granted from the NIA some 3 years before I became a sitting minister in the NIA, and from the federal government in principle some 2 years before I became an elected member in the NIA. This is a 70-room hotel project with a conference room, a gym, a spa, a restaurant, a club, a deli, a mini-mart with swimming pool and parking. This is a development expected to provide employment for over 70 plus persons on completion. However, my wife and I have been unable to attract any investors to the project because we need to sell the shares at the full statutory authorized price in order to raise the capital necessary to construct the hotel. This is so because various schemes that appear to have the full support of the Harris government and the CBI theme have resulted in the sale of shares at a price well below the statutory authorized price of $200,000 or US $175,000 for the alternative investment option.
The CBI program that has become significantly important to the country's economic well-being is a contentious issue going into the unscheduled general elections now constitutionally due by 8 August 2022. Glenn Bart reporting for SKN Newsline.
The People's Labour Party opened 2 constituency offices this week as it ramps up its preparation in the lead-up to the elections. On Thursday, the party hosted a public meeting in constituency number 2 to launch the constituency office there, known as the Vision Centre. Candidate for that constituency is Nubian Grayo. He spoke to plans to advance the peace initiative in his constituency and to sustain STEP and PAP programs.
It is a vote to keep the STEP. It is a vote to keep and improve the peace program. Don't let Labour put these programs at risk in time of international uncertainty. There is global inflation, a war in Ukraine, a shortage of food globally. Only by voting PLP and maintaining the leadership of Dr. Timothy Harris can these programs be preserved and improved upon.
Earlier this week, candidate for constituency number 5 for the PLP, Stachio Williams, at the launch of his Vision Centre in Sandy Point, spoke to plans to provide economic opportunities to his constituents if elected.
That is what this Vision Centre that we're launching here tonight is about. And I pledge to establish locally funded social programs so that together our people can pursue a zero poverty agenda. I want to pause and talk about that for a moment. When I say zero poverty, I mean every household, every single household in Fig Tree, La Valley, Sandy Point must have the basic things they need to survive, to put food on their table, because we understand that these are difficult times. We understand what it takes, and so our PLP government will deliver that. And I pledge to our people that we can develop programs to assist the most vulnerable in our community. My vision, with your help, we can start to address the mental health issues that were brought on by the pandemic. We can start to ensure that the people who are suffering with mental illnesses can access the help they need right here in Sandy Point. We want to enable the young women to gain work, re-enter education, or learn new skills so that they can help and provide food for their families. That is what this vision is all about. We're talking about protecting our people by having support for the elderly.
About 2 weeks ago, in a grand public meeting at the Greenlands pasture, the PLP launched all 8 candidates contesting the upcoming elections on St. Kitts. I'm Andre Huey for SKN Newsline. When visiting St. Martin, you want clean, affordable accommodations. You need Midtown Motel in the heart of Phillipsburg, a place where you can relax, take a stroll on Great Bay Beach, and that provides you easy access to great shopping. Midtown Motel, located on Front Street, Phillipsburg, St. Martin. Call Midtown Motel at 721-542-0614 and book your stay today.
The SKN Newsline website now offers you more news. Log on to www.sknnewsline.com for local, regional, and international news. You can also watch the latest newscast and keep abreast with news in sports, all from sknnewsline.com. That's www.sknnewsline.com. News at your fingertips. Nestled between evergreen mountains and the Caribbean Sea on the island of St. Kitts is the Millhouse Guest House and Convention Center. With breathtaking views, a rugged, beautiful shoreline, and immaculate manicured gardens make this the perfect location for your holiday, event, or wedding. With a large convention center, apartments with balconies providing stunning views, and a secluded cottage for larger family groups or honeymooning couples looking for some privacy. We have something for everyone. Book your stay at www.millhouseskn.com or visit our Facebook page, the Millhouse Guest House and Convention Center, an oasis of tranquility.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Citizenship by Investment Unit commented on the recently alleged multi-billion-dollar costing for the construction of a correctional facility under the alternative investment option of the Citizenship by Investment program. The costing was raised at a PAM-CCM press conference when it was said the project moved from over $80 million as indicated in the government's estimates to an amount of billions of dollars. CAN outlined how the said figure was derived and commented on what the developer would get over a period of time.
To be specific, what the developer gets is not $2.2 billion. What the developer gets is what he can sell in the market at whatever price there is in the market. In the market, we're competing with the likes of Dominica and the other Caribbean islands, and even other programs outside of the Caribbean. And whatever price is there is what the developer will compete at and offer his units of investment. These prices, or the $175,000 that will be the face value, which is the government's price, has to be discounted, or commissions paid to agents out there who are very aggressive. The clients or potential investors know the price that St. Kitts is competing against Dominica or St. Lucia or Grenada, Antigua, and that price number goes down to what the developer actually receives. And this happens in the alternative investment option and also in the real estate market under standard real estate. So we're in constant competition against a price structure that is not necessarily the face value of what we have to offer. But we have to allow the developer to be able to complete his or her construction.
From all indicators, the CBI program will continue to be a central theme leading into the 2022 general elections. Glenn Bart reporting for SKN Newsline.
Leader of the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, Dr. Terence Drew, is announcing plans to address the water problems plaguing St. Kitts. He suggested that, if elected, a Labour Party government would have tanks installed on houses to accommodate water storage.
But we'll make sure that once again, water becomes very accessible here to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. And the plan is, as we build new houses, we will build water storage capacity. And there are two ways in which we can do that. Either we can include a cistern in the building, or we can have tanks attached to the houses with the necessary infrastructure for you to store water. I've already checked out the price. For those tanks, it costs about $800 to $900. If we set up a factory here to produce jobs, we can deliver those tanks for about $300, and each house in St. Kitts and Nevis can have water storage capacity. That is what Labour will bring for you.
Due to what the Water Services Department is describing as drought-like conditions, several communities on St. Kitts have been without consistent water supply. As recently as this week, communities in the St. Peter's Parish have been without water for at least 3 days in a row. Water trucks were ferried into those communities to provide water to households. I'm Andre Huey for SKN Newsline. If you're looking for a place to host that special event, conference, meeting, social event, party, whatever the occasion, your best option is the Millhouse Convention Center, Palmetto Point, St. Kitts. Located on the picturesque Garvey's Estate, the Millhouse Guesthouse Convention Center has enough space for outdoor events overlooking the Caribbean Sea. If you're looking indoors, the center is equipped with amenities needed to make your event a success. And by combining both spaces, you're sure to have a memorable event, no matter the occasion. Call the offices at Millhouse Guesthouse and Convention Center to book your next event on simply the most beautiful place in St. Kitts. Call 668-1392. Millhouse Convention Center at Garvey's Estate, Palmetto Point, St. Kitts. Making your event memorable. It's the new and improved SKN Newsline Android mobile app. With the SKN Newsline app, you can watch your news reports, the SKN Newsline Newscast, sports, special features, and so much more. You can also send us a WhatsApp or call us directly. Go in the Google Play Store, search SKN Newsline, and download the app today. The SKN Newsline mobile app. News on the go.
An open interactive event can be described as
tremendous, effective,
on par with any conference around the world.
From exhibitions to trade shows, corporate events to product launches, from press events to political functions. We are the secret sauce behind events that make you go, wow. We've staged multiple world-class events in the Caribbean and develop the skill to deliver quality in every detail, whether the event is live or fully virtual, or maybe even somewhere in between. At Open Interactive, we got your events covered. Get your free quotation today at www.madebyopen.com.
Grenadas' ambassador to the Holy See, Mrs. Akima Paul Lambert, announced on Thursday on her social media platform that she has resigned as Grenadas' ambassador. Lambert, who was offered the appointment by the former government in 2018, stated in her post that her firm belief is that each government should be given a clean slate with regard to diplomatic appointments. Following the election results on June 24th, she said she prepared her resignation letter and contacted the permanent secretary to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to inform her of her intent. Lambert also indicated that the present Prime Minister of Grenada was also notified of her resignation on June 29th via email. The ambassador's resignation comes not long after speculation that Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell will recall all diplomats and review diplomatic appointments in the coming weeks. Speaking to former PS in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, William Joseph, he explained that the recall of diplomats after a change in government is nothing out of the ordinary, especially when appointments are based on political affiliation.
Let me say that generally there are two classes of diplomats. It is very rare in our case in Grenada that we have career diplomats. That is to say, people who've had a career in the public service. We've tended to have mostly political people being appointed as diplomats. So one could see the implication right away. If your appointment is on the basis of your political allegiance, your political association, it means that when the regime changes, you really have no footing to stand on because you could no longer represent the government, the new government in the country. So normally, these persons, ambassadors, would be recalled. Very seldom people, resign as such.
Mr. Joseph elaborated on the process of becoming a diplomat for Grenada and how it can be affected by the change in government.
Typically, when you recall, it really signals generally that your tour of duty has ended. Because, as you remember what I said, especially if you're a political appointee, there's very little chance that the new administration is going to accredit you to another country because the whole question of trust and so on and the lack of a relationship with the new government so that you can't represent their interests, that is what would dominate the thinking. And so that your tour of duty effectively will come to an end via that route.
Prime Minister Mitchell made it clear during his swearing-in ceremony last Friday that he will bring an end to nepotism and that appointments will be based on merit. For GBN News, Janelle MacDonald.
In the meantime, New Road District in Clarendon was a buzz of activity Wednesday evening as hundreds of well-wishers and family members gathered to pay their respects on the 9th night of the murder of the 5 people in their community. Dwayne Anderson has that report.
Most of Wednesday night's activities centered on this small shrine that has been established at the family home. It bears the faces of the 5 murder victims. Member of Parliament for North Central Clarendon, Robert Morgan, was among those paying respects at the candlelight vigil. He said the pain is still raw among residents of the rural district.
We don't have these type of things up here. We don't have these types of incidents in our community. So it's very shocking to us as a community. We have not been able to process it yet. A lot of us don't even believe that it has happened. But we just have to stick together and support each other and be shoulders for each other and to pray for each other. Because it's going to take a very long time for the community to heal.
Head of the Clarendon Police Division, Senior Superintendent Glenford Miller, thanked the people for helping investigators nab the main suspect. He said the case proves that Jamaicans can help nab criminals when they have the will.
I gave you, the community members, a charge when this incident took place. I spoke with you and said to you, help us to solve this crime. And you responded. You responded in every way, shape, and form. And I want to also thank the people of Jamaica who would have responded and also assist in actually bringing this situation to some amount of closure.
He argued that even though the DPP's office has given an indication of its plans to pursue the death penalty in the case, residents need to be patient and allow the justice system to work. But that call fell on deaf ears for the most part, as residents as well as their Member of Parliament have made it clear what they want.
I want to hang him. I want to hang him. They want to hang him. Trust me. You don't feed government food. From he made the confession, he should have been hung.
I don't believe in the death penalty, but for this one I have to make an exception.
Well-wishers in the meantime are being encouraged to continue to comfort and support grieving family members.
Words will not be sufficient for the family. Although sometimes we might say that, yes, we know and understand what you're... Everybody grieves differently. We all grieve differently. What the family members need now more than ever is the support of each and every one of us to bring back their life to some amount of normalcy. So please, ladies and gentlemen, let us support them.
Dwayne Anderson, TVJ News.
Patrice Lumumbas' tooth was all that remained after Belgian mercenaries dissolved his body in a barrel of acid. He was assassinated with their involvement in 1962, months after Congo had been granted independence from Belgian colonial rule. Millions of people were killed and mutilated over the 80 years that Belgium extracted vast natural resource wealth. Lumumba campaigned for independence. Now, his tooth has been laid to rest in a ceremony in Democratic Republic of Congo's capital, Kinshasa.
You died with your head held high, your faith unshakable and your confidence deep in the destiny of your country. More than 60 years later, I finally answer you to tell you that you have returned home. The honours you receive here are a page in the history that you continue to write.
Lumumba's remains have been interred under his statue. Their return is the latest in a series of gestures from Belgium and its royal family, expressing regret for its colonial past that have followed the rise of the Black Lives Matter movement. Congolese President Félix Tshisekedi has welcomed it.
We Congolese and Belgians can together begin the decisive stage of forgiveness, justice and true and definitive reconciliation.
Lumumba was, and still is, wildly popular. His remains have drawn crowds as they've been taken around the country over the last 9 days. Some say it only starts to make up for the injustices of the past.
Returning the tooth is one step, yes, but those who were involved in this assassination are still alive. There were a list of 12 people, Belgians, who were identified by the Belgian parliament as having taken part in this assassination.
2 of those people are still alive. People celebrated when Lumumba's tooth, which was pulled out of his mouth by a Belgian mercenary as a trophy, was taken to the place where he was killed. Nobody's been held to account for it. Returning Lumumba's remains is a highly symbolic gesture, but looting of Congo's minerals, conflict and poverty have persisted far beyond independence from colonial rule. For many, Lumumba's vision of a free and prosperous people is still a long way off. Malcolm Webb, Al Jazeera.
Some
cricket news now, all-rounder Stefanie Taylor says she's not ready to relinquish the captaincy of the Jamaican team, despite being stripped of the leadership of the West Indies women's team at the weekend.
All-rounder Stefanie Taylor left Jamaica as captain of both her national team and the West Indies women, but she returned to the island one responsibility lighter. Taylor was stripped of the West Indies captaincy and replaced by Barbadian Hayley Matthews. But the 31-year-old wants to hold on to the responsibility for Jamaica, despite not having the best of times with the bat.
I wouldn't say that it has anything to do with captaincy. You know, sometimes as players you go through bad patches, and it's something that you have to accept that you're not going to always have good series. And I love captaining Jamaica team. It's an honor to represent and to play with the team that I have. And yeah, I'm hoping that next year we'll bounce back.
In the meantime, Taylor and the Jamaica team did not return empty-handed as they were crowned Cricket West Indies T20 place champions.
I thought we did really well. I mean, we lost the 50-over competition, but I thought we put up a pretty good fight in that to get the T20. I thought it was a really good effort. Yeah, not getting beaten by Barbados so many times is not ideal, but at least we came home with something.
Coach of the team, Shane Brooks, while pleased with the T20 title, was disappointed having lost to Barbados in the 50-over final, a third defeat of the season against the same opposition.
Well, I'm happy that from my first season we came back with at least one trophy. After 2.5 years of not playing in cricket, we are really happy to come back with something. I think we had a good enough team to come back with both trophies, but we were outplayed by Barbados on three different occasions, and rightfully they won the 50-over championship.
Bernardo Brown for TVJ Sports.
Welcome to the SKN Newsline Weather Report. I am Janil Bull. Here is a look at the forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis. For a more detailed weather report, visit our website at www.sknnewsline.com.